Midlife is a curious place. It doesn't arrive in a single moment. It seeps in quietly. The parents who once seemed unshakable begin to falter. Children who filled the house with noise move out, carrying their own futures in their hands. Careers shift, shrink, or sometimes disappear. And the friendships, once effortless, abundant everywhere, become fewer. This shrinking circle can feel alarming. We look around and wonder, where did everyone go? But beneath the fear, something else is happening. The circle doesn't just shrink, it sharpens, it clarifies. The Harvard study of adult development, the longest running study of human life, reminds us good relationships predict happiness and health more reliably than wealth, fame, or even genetics. But good relationships does not mean many. It means meaningful. So midlife asks us, which relationships truly sustain us? And which ones have we outgrown? By 50, we all carry losses, a parent's passing, a marriage that drifted apart, the quiet realization that some dreams will never arrive, and yes, friendships that once defined us, gone without warning. At first, loss feels like theft, but slowly, it begins to act like a teacher. It tells us nothing is permanent, not even the people we thought we couldn't live without. This clarity brings sadness, but it also offers freedom. We no longer have to collect the friends like trophies. We no longer have to say yes to every gathering, every obligation. We can choose. We can invest in the connections that feel alive and let go of the ones that have hardened into duty. There are the friends who have known us the longest, anchor friends. They are the ones who carry parts of our history we can't fully recall. The friends who still remember the way we laughed at 16, the way we danced badly at college parties, the way we were before the world piled responsibilities on our shoulders. When we meet them again, it is like opening a door to an earlier version of ourselves, not because we want to live in the past, but because these friends remind us that our past is still alive in us. Psychologist Susan Bluck's research on autobiographical memory shows how friends function as memory keepers. When we forget, they remember. When we minimize our own strength, they recall it with vivid detail. And in this way, they stabilize who we are. But not every old friend remains a safe harbor. Sometimes, the friends of our youth carry expectations that no longer match who we are. A childhood companion may cling to an identity we've outgrown. A college roommate may still compare achievements, as though life were a scoreboard. This is where midlife clarity matters. Not every friend must be kept. To hold on out of guilt is to weigh ourselves down. Letting go of an anchor friend does not erase the memories. It honors them as they were and accepts that not all memories belong in the present. To reconnect can be a renaissance. To release can be liberation. Both are valid. You know, they're the ones who arrive unasked in the darkest hours. Not because you begged, not because you demanded, but because presence is part of who they are. Think of a man in the middle of cancer treatment. Many acquaintances disappeared, uncomfortable with illness, unsure what to say. But one friend showed up, day after day. He didn't need to fix anything. He simply sat there, brought coffee, told small jokes, held silence, and in that simple presence, despair shifted toward courage. This is ride or die friendship, not dramatic rescues, not cinematic speeches, just steadfast presence when the room feels unbearably empty. But what if you don't have a ride or die friend? What if the people you expected to stay have stepped back? This too is part of midlife truth. And it does not mean you are unworthy or broken. It means life has asked you to cultivate resilience in solitude. Sometimes the ride or die is not another person. It is your own capacity to endure, your ability to walk through fire with yourself, to discover that you can survive disappointment and loneliness. Is not failure, it is power. Midlife is not only about endings, it is also about beginnings. We are the last generation expected to care for our parents, and the first who may not be cared for by our children. Family is no longer a guarantee, and neither are friends. So we build networks, not as replacements, but as sources of new meaning. One of the most fertile grounds for these networks is learning. Libraries, community colleges, lifelong learning centers, online courses. Neuroscientist Yakov Stern coined the concept of cognitive reserve. The more we learn, the more resilient our brains remain against decline. So joining a class is not just education, it is brain health. And it is a chance to meet people who share curiosity and the vitality. Communities do not only live in classrooms, they form in painting groups, gardening clubs, volunteer kitchens, even digital forums. A woman who began volunteering at a food bank in her 60s found herself surrounded by people half her age. They laughed, worked, and sweated together. And in that service, she discovered new energy. A retired engineer joined an online photography group. What began as sharing images became real friendships, with members traveling to meet in person. Midlife opens us to this unlikely bonds. They may not carry our childhood stories, but they can walk with us into the future. Not all ties nourish us. Some quietly erode our sense of self. Gaslighting is one of them. The word comes from a 1938 play, Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife by dimming lamps and insisting she is imagining it. Today, gaslighting is subtle. It may appear in a colleague who dismisses your ideas as overreacting, or a partner who insists that never happened when you recall a hurtful event, or even a friend who repeatedly undermines your confidence, then laughs it off as a joke. Gaslighting is not about tough love. It is about control. It erodes trust in your own perception until you lean on the manipulator for reality. Recognizing it is not about paranoia. It is about listening to the quiet alarm inside that says, this doesn't feel right. We often think of grooming as something that happens to children, but it can happen to adults too. A charismatic leader in a workplace or community group who slowly isolates you from others. A mentor who insists only their guidance matters. An online community that cuts you off from outside perspectives until their voice becomes the only one you hear. Grooming is not always about abuse in the extreme sense. Sometimes it is about subtle dependency, a narrowing of your world until one person or group controls the information you receive. The antidote is exposure. Keep multiple voices in your life. If someone demands exclusivity, whether friend, mentor, or community, that is not care. It is control. Loneliness is dangerous. Julian and Holt-Lunstad's research shows it increases mortality as much as heavy smoking. It harms the heart, the brain, the immune system. But solitude is not loneliness. They are not the same. It is possible to be surrounded by people and to feel profoundly lonely, and it is possible to live with few close friends and to still feel deeply connected to nature, to art, to spirituality, to oneself. Midlife invites us to learn this difference, to avoid the fear of being alone, and instead to cultivate solitude as a strength. So, where does this leave us? Friends matter. Anchor friends preserve our history. Ride or die, friends show up in crisis. New communities give us meaning. Toxic ties must be released, and yet none of these are the whole story, because while friends enrich us, our well-being cannot depend entirely on them. The balance is this: cherish friendship deeply, but ground your life in yourself. So after 50, do we really need friends? Yes and no. Yes, because good relationships extend life, protect health, and bring joy. No, because clinging to the wrong ones drains us more than solitude ever could. Friends arrive, friends fade. Sometimes they return. But the constant is the life we shape for ourselves. Midlife is mosaic work. Anchors, ride or dies, communities, boundaries. The pieces we choose now become the shape of the life ahead. Perhaps the secret is this: to treasure the friends who remain, to welcome the ones who arrive, and to live fully, even when no one sits beside us. Because the deepest anchor, the truest ride or die, may not be another person at all. It may be the self we finally learn to trust.